everybody. Welcome to Health Through Movement. My name is Mike.
And I'm Rob.
And on today's episode, we're going to get into a little bit about the difference between hypertrophy training and power training.
That's right.
Exactly. Now, I would say that I'm more of a hypertrophy training type of guy. Not that I don't use some power, but I would say I'm more hypertrophy, and I think Rob would say he would be more on the power end when he trains.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone should have both, but yeah, I tend to lean towards things that are very short but powerful, right? Like you.
Like me and Rob, we're short and powerful.
I guess so. But yeah, like I really don't like long distance things. I don't like I'll do hypertrophy training when it comes to that time of the periodization, right? I'll do it like maybe once a week, twice a week. Oh, sorry, not once a week, twice a week, but once a month, 1 week or 2 weeks for a month. So depending.
Right. And they call it, like, there's names for it. Like, if you do a mixture, they call it, like, power building.
Yeah,
and
or
stuff.
something like that.
They have different names for it. But exactly, with the periodization, you can, through, like, the course of a month or 2 months or 3 months or whatever you're working, or weeks, you can kind of switch up, your training so you have a chance to recover and stuff. But, again, we're going to kind of break it down, some of the differences, and, kind of like a little bit of a mock workout for a body part, just to give you an idea or whatever. And again, hypertrophy, I think, more breaks down body parts, and power, I would say, would be a combination of body parts more. Wouldn't you say, Rob?
Well, how do you mean by that?
More compound movements. Is what I'm saying,
yes,
in power.
that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most. I mean, sense. Yeah, it's mostly through compound movements like squats and bench press and deadlifts and stuff like that. So, and even more so with like the Olympic lifts. Those really use a lot of stuff. So.
Right, and they take some practice. I mean, people throw them around like they're no big deal, but to do them correctly takes a lot of practice and a good teacher.
Oh yeah. You can't just. I guess that's one of my criticisms with like CrossFit. I know you don't try not to go into that topic too often.
Oh, don't get me started, Rob.
But yeah, I'm not a big fan of them either in general. But I do like that they do Olympic lifts. What I don't like is they're being taught by people who have not, do not have enough experience under the belt to teach that type of thing.
So what you're saying is a guy who takes a class over the weekend and opens a box up, that's not good?
No, and it's not good. He's training 20 people at a time too, so you can't.
Of all different ages and all different experience and everything else.
Yeah. So
it gets pretty insane. And again, we're not going to make this about CrossFit at all, but I do agree with you 100%. And those are movements that are meant to be power movements, which is you're going all out, you're exerting yourself to do a certain weight or whatever you're trying to go, your max or something. They'll do it 30 times or over a couple minutes, over and over and over again. That's not what they're there for.
Yep.
When you do them correctly, I'm sorry to interrupt, but when you do them correctly, you're exerting yourself.
Exactly.
And you're looking to do a perfect move once.
Yep. Exactly. And that's exactly what I was about to bring up. I mean. And just a slight, I guess, adjustment to that. It's mostly explosive. I mean, a lot of people like to have a separate category for like Olympic lifts because they tend to be more explosive, just like those box jumps and stuff like that, rather than power. They're not looking to, as much weight as possible, but like you said, they have to do it in a very skilled manner. So it's more explosive movement than actual power movement. But I for sure still think there's a lot of power behind the explosiveness behind them. But a lot of people like to make that distinction.
Right. I mean, they're two sides of a coin, really.
Yeah.
But why don't we get into it a little bit? And again, I'm going to come more from the hypertrophy angle because that's how I train. And when Rob trains, he tends to do the more power thing. So why don't we get into that now, Rob? Why don't we get into the power now?
Sure. That sounds good. Yeah, so for power, things tend to, when you program for power, things tend to be lower reps, but high weight. So higher intensity, lower volume. This is so that you could carry more weight and push more weight and then you'll have more of a rest time in between. So, for instance, you'll be, let's say, squat. If you're doing squatting, you'll be squatting maybe three reps of your probably like 80% of your maximal lifts. You really have to know what your max lifts are first.
Your 1 RM, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So. Yeah, usually figure that out ahead of time. Like, if you're a true beginner, you won't know exactly, but eventually you'll figure that out, and then you can program correctly. If you don't know, there's some beginner linear programs which don't take in periodization at all, which could help you get what your 1 RM, 1 rep max basically would be. Some of them will be, starting strength and that's from Rippito, and then Strong Lifts is also a popular one.
Right, definitely. For a beginner, again, it takes time to figure all that out. Really, I mean, for a beginner, you're just trying to master the movements, really.
Yes,
so
that's correct.
I wouldn't even worry about 1 rep max if you're talking about beginners, I mean.
Yep. Yeah, true. Yeah, and that's exactly correct. I mean, and that's what strong lifts and starting strength do. Like, you start off from literally the bar, but you progress quickly. The linears, the reason why it's linear so you could get up there quickly, like you said, master the movements. Not master, but at least get used to them. I don't think anyone really masters them until they get really into advanced and high level lifting, and that's when you're really into serious stuff.
Right.
So.
Their nervous system has to adapt to the movements first.
Right.
And that's where their first push of strength will be. It's not actually strength; it's adaptation of the nervous system. And I just want to also real quick touch on your taking a longer break. Your body and your muscles run off of ATP, and for that to build up in the muscle again, minimum, the first 50% comes back at about 30 seconds. So that's why a lot of times when you're working in a higher volume and you're taking less rest and stuff, resting about 20 to 30 seconds, you're getting half of that back. But to really get 100% back, you're talking 3 to 5 minutes to get that back. So you definitely do, I agree, want to rest a lot longer when you're going for max lift.
Yeah, for max lift, for me, it was 3 minutes, 3-minute breaks for 3 rep, 85%. For a 1 rep max, if you're going for your max, then yeah, you want to take a lot of time between, 5 minutes.
Right, I agree, definitely. Now, when you were training, did you ever use any chains and bands and stuff too to help with the explosiveness?
Yeah. So with bands, yes, mostly on bench. And deadlifts. I didn't really use it on squat. But chains, I didn't have chains. So I guess I could have gotten them. It just they weren't high on my prior list as in terms of buying stuff. But yeah, chains. I would have loved chains for squats at least.
Could you go into a little bit of how bands and chains help?
Yeah, sure. So chains. How they help is that when you're, let's say you're doing a squat movement and you're on the top of the squat and then you're lowering yourself down, the chains, let's say they're 20-pound chains, let's just say, right, on each side. That's 40 pounds extra you're lifting. But once you start lowering to the ground and the ground starts and starts accumulating on the ground, it starts to relieve that. So you do less on your bottom movements, and then when you really have to explode up to get that up because you need more power to get that up. So you don't need as much going down. You need more going up. And it's similar to bands. Bands, they'll tense up, when they're fully stretched. They'll have more tension when they're fully stretched at their height. So you definitely need more to get it up there first. So that's how it usually trains you to be explosiveness of training with bands and chains. I think you get more explosive out of bands, but I think that's just personal preference. I'm not sure if anyone really. I'm sure there is a difference. It's just for me, I prefer bands. So.
Right, it's basically availability. I mean, you said, if you don't have chains, bands are fine, and vice versa.
Right.
Could you go into a little bit of how you would program over, let's say, a month period, 4 to 6 weeks, or however you did it?
Yeah, sure. So the program. So I usually took a template off of a popular one, but in China, analyzed it and kind of wrote it for my own, at least for my own needs. I mean, similar enough. I didn't really why mess with something that really works with other people? So
if it's not broke, don't fix it. Basically.
Exactly. But I did make some few adjustments, just to adjust to my style and to what my wants are. Right. So usually, in my training programming, I would train for. It's really broken down to let's say a month, right? It's really into 16 weeks, but it's usually broken down to months at a time. In 1 month, I'll have the first week with high volume and low intensity, right? I'm doing hypertrophy. I'm trying to build muscle, and then it's probably going to be like, reps of 8 to 10. At probably 65-70% of my max for that lift, and then the second weekend it'll be less. It'll probably be like the reps. It'll be more intensity, less volume, but it's very slight. So let's say 8 to 10 is the first week. Second week would be like a 5 to 8, and the third week it would be really 3 to 5, and then last week it's either 1 to 3, depending if I want to try and max load or not. Depending which program you're doing, that might be required for that. Just so you know what if you could progress, add more weight. So for my programming, I usually do 3. On the last week I do 3 reps of probably like 80-85%. And I'll do 3 plus. So I'll do three reps, and then I'll try to do more than that for my last rep for each of my lifts. Last set for each of my lifts. And if I do, let's say, instead of 3, I do 5. That's extra 5 pounds next time, or whatever. If I do extra, if I do a 7, then that's puts 10 pounds on, stuff like that. So because if I'm doing 3 reps of that and I do 7, that means it was way too light. So I have to increase my load for next time. Yeah, it might have been a good week, but that's where kind of experience comes into play. Like, all right, it was a good week, but I don't think I should. I don't think I should add 10 pounds. So. But basically, you do that, and then you keep increasing that until doing that for over 16 weeks. And at the end of 16 weeks, that's when you usually program for your competition. But I didn't compete, so that's basically truly your max lift. You usually have you usually just that week you just do warm-up sets and then your max. And that's basically my my programming method. I mean, I could go more into it, but like that's pretty much the basics of it.
So yeah, why don't we turn the tables now, and we'll talk a little bit about hypertrophy training. Again, it's a little different than the power training. Here you're trying to actually gain muscle. You're trying to make your muscles bigger. So the training is more volume based than as heavy as you can go. So as far as my training goes, what I'm looking to do as much as I can in a shorter period of time, with sometimes as little as 30 seconds to a minute rest in between sets. Sometimes I even do supersetting or compound sets. Now, superset, for people that don't know, is when you continue to do a specific exercise, you lower the weight and you keep going. A compound sets would be doing a few different sets for a body part, one right after another. Again, you're looking to get that volume. And Rob, you had mentioned you do somewhat of that training when you're breaking up certain times of the month. You do that. But again, strength doesn't always mean size and vice versa.
Right.
So you can have a littler guy be strong as hell, and a bigger guy who you would think is super strong not be as strong as you think. Especially when it comes now. Again, I do body part training, but that's not saying that I don't still do compound movements. You still want to have those compound movements in there, like squatting and deadlifting. But as far as deadlifting goes, now for you, Rob, you do more regular deadlifts from the ground when you deadlift, correct?
Yes, both conventional and sumo, but yeah. It's from the ground.
That's special guest Rob's dog. He just wanted to put her 2 cents in.
Yeah, apologize for that.
So me, I do more Romanian.
Oh, right.
And again, that for people that don't know what that is, Romanian deadlifts are more of a very much a hinge movement, and you're not touching the ground. You're going about, and again, everybody's range of motion is a little different, but you're going about halfway down your shin. Just below the knee to halfway down your shin. Some people will stay on a box or something to go even lower, but that's basically where you're going to stay in that area. And what that's doing is that's isolating more the hamstrings and the glutes.
Yep.
So, and you'll feel it. If you do it correctly, you will feel your hamstrings pulling at the bottom of the movement. That's how I usually teach it too. To tell them that, are you feeling the pull? Okay, then you're doing it right. Because the minute you drop those knees a little bit, you lose that pull in there. So,
yeah, I do RDLs on my hypertrophy weeks. So weeks 1 and 2 for each month, I do RDLs in addition to my regular stuff.
Right, exactly. I don't love legs. I never did, but I do them. I do a day of legs every week. I do break up my body parts. I'll change it up sometimes every now and then. Again, I'm going to be going on my mid-40s. Even volume training sometimes I got to back off every now and then. Just because, between older injuries that I have and just getting older and have been stupid in my childhood and stuff, I'll start to get some aches here and there that I know, okay, my body's telling me let's back off for a week. So sometimes I'll do 3 days of lifting and I'll do total body just to break up the monotony of body parts every now and then, but still keeping the hypertrophy angle. And with hypertrophy, you don't have to go heavy. It's about the volume.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and all 4 of those full body ones too. Like when you're taking a break, or taking a down week, right? So you can get a lot of things done in one. In the time that you have for full body workouts, and you still feel good about yourself, and you still get your workout in. So
right, and instead of taking a whole week off,
right, exactly,
you're kind of taking it off, but you're still moving.
Yep.
So I'll do that every now and then, but for the most part, my mainstay, and I've always loved it. I've trained a bunch of other ways. I've tried just about everything. Hands down, body part training is what I love the best. My breakdown for me personally, and it's pretty basic. I mean, everybody's done this breakdown, is back and bis, chest and tris, shoulders, legs.
Yeah, it's like, I think they call it push-pull.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Push-pull legs, yeah.
Exactly.
PPLs, yeah.
Exactly. And I have my mainstays that I always do, but I will change it up a little. But right now, for me, my workout consists of 2 exercises back to back, 30 seconds rest, then do it over for 3 to 4 sets, depending how I feel that day or whatever. So to give an example, I may do incline dumbbell chest press, followed by flat bench flies, and then I'll take a rest. So by doing that, I can't go heavy because I am not allowing myself the allotted amount of time to come back. So I can't go that heavy. But I'll tell you something. You want to talk about working a muscle and feeling sore? Going lighter and doing it that way, I'm more sore then than when I go heavier and take bigger breaks.
Really?
For me.
I think for you, yeah. I think. See, that's really for me. I feel the opposite. Like I feel more sore when I'm doing something really heavy, and like I can't walk for like a day. Like especially if I'm doing squat, or like if I'm maxing out my squat, I'll be like, oh, that hurts.
Right. You got to do the flamingo walk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I think it's more of a. But for me, it's like it's more of a tiredness than a soreness. Like eventually, when like in the beginning it was more sore, but like at the end it was more tiredness. When I did that, like when I maxed out.
Right. And again, I want to say that being sore does not necessarily mean you got a great workout.
Right.
That they have nothing to do with each other. So a lot of times sore for too long means you overdid it. So you got to kind of watch that a little bit. And again, I throw that out the window if I first give a client a brand new bunch of exercises for the first time. They're probably going to be sore for a couple days because their body's not used to it.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. No matter what it is.
Right. But I'm looking to see that second week that we do it again. Was it as bad? No. Good. We're on the right track then. We're all right. So.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, when it comes to hypertrophy in the arms, you do not want to go heavy. That's why I laugh at these people when they're curling super heavy weight and they're swinging.
Oh, I know. I know. Right. When the swinging, like, why even bother if you're swinging?
How's it feel working your delts, dude?
Yeah.
And again, your delts are in line with your bicep. They're connected, your front delt. Right. So you do work it a little bit when you come up with a curl. Because there's a couple different ways of doing it. You can do curls where your arms are kind of at your sides. But a lot of times to get different heads of the bicep, again, different positions of the hand. But if you come up a little, you are going to use your delt a little bit. But these people that are swinging it, it's like they're doing hip thrusts instead.
Yeah, yep.
But
that doesn't do anything for them really. Like you said, it's working out other muscles besides their bicep. I mean, it is working their bicep, it's just not as much as they think it is.
Right. It's all about feel. Hypertrophy is about the feel. You're squeezing the muscles. You're doing full range of motion. You're feeling the quote-unquote the burn. That's what you're looking for. Power, you're getting exhausted, like you said. You're exerting yourself all out. You're not necessarily getting a burn.
Right. Yep.
Your muscles are like, that's all we got. That's it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of times where I can't even pop out of the hole because it's from a squat, just because I was like, I'm done. It's after doing heavy sets, you it's not like you're tired it's not like you're sore. You just can't. You just won't function.
Right. Right. Exactly. And so basically, it really is about feeling. It's about feeling when it comes to hypertrophy. You want to feel the muscle working. That's it, in my opinion, in a nutshell, is you want to feel it.
Yeah. So, the differences between between hypertrophy training and strength training, powerlifting, I should say, power training. Are there any, like, what types of people should do what type of training, or should they do both, or should they focus on one or the other? And what are those types or scenarios which would do that?
I think non-sports related people, most are going to go for aesthetics and how they look. I don't think they really care how much weight they throw around, at least especially women. Most women don't care. I mean, yeah, you have your CrossFitters now and stuff that are like trying to throw around and max out and everything, but you know, there's still that stigma, which boggles my mind, that people think if women think they do weights, they're going to be all bulky looking.
Right.
If it was only that easy. I mean, even guys don't get that bulky.
Yep.
So
yep.
yeah, so I would think most are going to go for aesthetics, which is more of volume training for, you know, hypertrophy training.
Right.
Power. Go ahead.
Yeah, and like, I mean, and depending on who we're talking about, right? Like if we're talking about normal Joe Blows, you know, like the just working class people, like it depends. Like if you have a job that I think we were talking about this earlier, we're in a job where you need to be strong you're doing, you need to lift heavy stuff often, or at least, you know, often enough. You know, you might want to look into strength training or powerlifting, I should say. If not the focus of it, at least, you know, you should at least balance it out between hypertrophy and power.
Right. Exactly. And I mean, I think most guys want to have the aesthetics and have their ego at the gym where they're throwing weight around too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a testosterone thing. I mean, maybe it's because I'm older now and I've done it for so many years. I don't really care. I mean, I have my own studio, so I don't really do it around other guys anymore, but I don't really... that doesn't do it for me anymore. That's a younger man's game. You want to, like, oh, you're strutting the gym.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, you know, you throw weight around and all this stuff. Some guy or girl could be like, oh, he knows what he's doing because he threw a lot of weight around.
That's where the, you know, like the 100-pound curls come into play, right?
Right, exactly. And people assume things.
Yeah.
Well, he knows what he's doing, or he's been doing this all the time, or he must. I should listen. I should do what he's doing.
Yep.
You know, and just because somebody looks good too doesn't mean they know what they're doing.
Right.
You know, it could be some genetics involved. I'm not saying they're not working hard, but if you have amazing genetics, your body will take whatever you throw at it and enjoy it, if you know what I mean. So, you know, there's some of us that got to work our butts off to get a little bit.
Yeah, and I would say, I don't know, that sum is more than most people think. I think there's a few genetically gifted people that they could do that with. But yeah, I mean, I think the most of us, we all have to work at it correctly in the right way, and and then we have to be there in the gym all the time just to keep it up. So.
Right, exactly. And again, if you don't like going to the gym, just do enough. You know what I mean? Just do enough. Some of us like doing this stuff, so we do it. Yep. You know, and when you're in a sport, you have to do it. It's your job. So they no matter what, and most of them are going to do a combo of power and hypertrophy.
Right.
You know, because they need the strength, they need the explosiveness. You know, but they need size and stuff too. So, you know, most sports they're gonna train a combination of both. But you know, really, it comes down to your goal. What is your goal? Take it from there. I think that's the most important thing. No matter who you are, whether you're in a sport, whether you're going to the gym for health, whatever you're doing. If you say, hey, I want to see how much I can bench, well, then make your program around that and see what you can do.
Yep.
Go for it.
And those goals may change. I mean, just take it from me, like I initially was lifting for hypertrophy and like doing that stuff, but my goals changed because I felt like I really liked lifting a lot of weights. I really didn't care how big I got. Like I just like, actually it was kind of cool that I could surprise people like how much I could lift, being how unassuming I look. and I like programming in that fashion as well. So my goals has changed from one way or the other, and it could be the other way around as well. So sometimes you just got to go there, try it out, and then see what you like from there.
Exactly, and you hit it right on the head by saying you love what you're doing, and guess what? You're going to stick with it.
Yep,
You're going to
there
keep
you
doing
go.
it. I tell every client, because I've come across everything with people. Say, do what you love, but make sure you sprinkle in enough of what you need.
Yeah.
That's really important. But
Yeah, it's a great saying. That's a great saying. Yep.
right, you doing what you love is going to get you out there. And another thing I tell my clients, the hardest part of any workout is getting in the car and driving to it. That's
Yep.
the hardest part, because that's the easiest thing to say, I don't want to do it, or write it off, or go do something else. Once you're there, you're going to do something. You're there.
Yep. I find that the first thing to do, just get changed. That's all you have to do. Get changed for the gym, and then from there it's usually easier to say, all right, I'm changed, I might as well go, or might as well start doing something, right? So if you're ever lazy, it's always good just to work in steps. Get changed. All right, I'm just gonna get in my gym clothes. It's okay if I don't go. I'm just going in my gym clothes. You'll find it easier to take it from there.
Absolutely. So everybody, do what Rob says, just like Rob does. Put your yoga pants on like Rob does, and get out there, do your workout. That's the most important. But really, it comes down to preference. Whether it's power, hypertrophy, size, or strength, do it right. Practice. Be safe. Listen to somebody who knows what they're doing. Read some books. Get a trainer that is specifically trained or knows what he's talking about and what you're doing, because every trainer has a different niche. Yep. So, I mean, we all know the basics and stuff, but we're all a little bit better at something. So make sure you do your research, but just be safe. Don't be stupid. That's the biggest advice I could give.
Yep, and that's awesome advice.
But I hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you have any questions at all, message us, comment below. We'd love, if you have an idea for a future episode, let us know. But we really appreciate any feedback you may want to give.
Yep, and yeah, that's right. And right, hit like, subscribe, and yeah, just help us out with ideas.
Definitely, and as always, we really appreciate it. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.